The modern world does not conquer you with swords, it conquers you with a soft bed. It does not chain your limbs, it sedates your attention. This is the architecture of the quietest surrender, a slow, warm drowning where the victim smiles as they sink beneath the surface, grateful for the comfort of their own demise. We have built a civilization dedicated entirely to the elimination of friction. Every interface is smoothed, every demand is anticipated, every craving is satisfied before it can even mature into a genuine desire. We call this progress, we call this convenience. The ancient order calls it what it actually is, the slow, systematic paralysis of the human soul. When the path is entirely level, the legs forget how to climb, the chest forgets how to expand, and the heart forgets how to labor under weight. Friction is the boundary that defines the self. It is the resistance against which the human will is forged. In the natural order, to eat required the sweat of the brow, to speak required physical presence, to learn required the slow, tedious turning of physical pages. This resistance was not a curse. It was the dynamic force that built the muscle of character. Today, we have bypassed the struggle. We live in a frictionless tube, sliding from the womb to the grave in a state of cushioned suspension, never encountering the raw stone of reality. This comfort is not a reward, it is a clinical anesthetic. It is a soft cage designed to keep you from realizing that your sovereignty is being systematically harvested. A creature that is warm, fed, and continuously amused has no reason to resist. It has no reason to look up at the cathedral vault, nor down into the moral abyss of its own character. It becomes a passive consumer, a digestive tract on a couch, absorbing inputs and producing data for the database, guided by forces it cannot see and does not care to understand. Look at the chairs in your offices, the cushions on your sofas, the temperature-controlled air in your rooms. They are designed to mimic the womb. They invite you to regress, to return to a state of helpless, passive dependency where every need is met by a machine. We have traded the hard-won freedom of the wilderness for the warm custody of the zoo. Rise from the cushions, the bed is warm, but it is the warmth of decay. The soft life is the life of the soft body, which quickly becomes the soft mind, and finally the dead spirit. We do not seek comfort. We seek the cold, clean weight of reality. We seek the friction that makes us real. Look at the screens that illuminate the darkness of your rooms. They are not windows. They are modern altars of a slow, digital sedation. They promise connection, but they deliver a state of walking sleep. They feed you a continuous stream of low-effort dopamine designed to keep your thumbs moving and your mind still. You are scrolling through the ashes of your own potential, day after day, hour after hour, while the concrete walls of your room close in around you. You believe you are resting when you sink into the digital feed, but rest is active. Rest is the restoration of the spirit. It is silence, reflection, and the quiet gathering of strength in the dark. The endless scroll is not rest. It is a state of active exhaustion. It keeps your brain in a perpetual twilight of stimulation, never fully awake, never fully asleep, constantly reacting to inputs you did not choose, cannot control, and will not remember tomorrow. Every time you choose the algorithm over the silence, you surrender a piece of your sovereignty. You allow third-party interests to construct the landscape of your thoughts. They decide what makes you angry, what makes you laugh, what makes you click, and what makes you slide further into the cushions. You are paying for their platforms with the only currency that cannot be printed, your life's attention. We have allowed our attention, the very seed of our consciousness, the spark of the divine within us, to be farmed like wheat. The platforms are designed to extract this attention at any cost, using highly sophisticated neural networks trained on the psychological vulnerabilities of our species. They know when you are lonely, they know when you are tired, they know when your discipline is weak. And in that moment of weakness, they present you with the perfect distraction, the softest pillow, the brightest screen, ensuring you remain sedated and silent. The screen is an engine of division. It divides you from the physical space you occupy. It divides you from the people who sit in the same room. It divides you from your own body, translating your existence into a series of passive visual reactions. You sit in the dark, your face bathed in the cold, blue-gray glare of a simulated universe, while the real world passes by without your participation. Step out of the glare. The blue light is the color of a cold star, empty of warmth, empty of life. It does not illuminate your path. It only blinds you to the darkness that is slowly closing in around your mind. Reclaim your gaze. Turn your eyes back to the raw, unlit stone of the room. Sloth is not the simple refusal to work. It is not the caricature of the idle body lying in the sun. Sloth is something far more dangerous. It is the refusal to pay attention. It is the abandonment of the steep path for the level decline. It is the choice to let your mind become a passive reservoir for the noise of the world, rather than a disciplined force that shapes it. The ancients called it Accidia, the noonday demon. It was the dread of the monk who stood in the quiet monastery when the sun was high, the hours were long, and the silence became heavy. It is the weight that makes the morning heavy, the voice that whispers that nothing is worth the effort, the subtle suggestion that you can start tomorrow or the next day or never. It is the decay of purpose. It starts as a thin layer of dust on your discipline, and it ends as a concrete vault that seals you in your own comfort. Accidia is a spiritual numbness. It is the state where the soul is too tired to care, too distracted to pray, and too heavy to stand. It does not speak in screams, it speaks in whispers. It does not command you to do evil, it only invites you to do nothing. It says, stay here, rest a little longer, fold your hands, sleep. It makes the tedious tasks look impossible and the easy distractions look essential. This noonday demon has become the default state of modern society. We do not have to fight it in the desert, we fight it in the living room. It lives in the smart home, the autoplay cue, the food delivery app, and the remote control. It has automated our lives to the point that we no longer need to exert ourselves to survive, and by doing so, it has starved the soul of the resistance it needs to grow. Consider the tragedy of the stalled will. A man who has lost his will does not plan to fail, he merely plans to wait. He waits for the right feeling, the right moment, the right weather, the right inspiration. But the feeling never comes because the feeling is a product of action, not the cause of it. The longer he waits, the heavier the weight becomes, until the simple act of standing up feels like lifting a mountain. If you do not resist the weight, it will slowly crush you. The dust of convenience will settle on your hands, and over the years it will harden into stone, turning you into a statue of regret, frozen in the posture of waiting. Break the dust before it hardens. We are entering the era of the great sorting. The line is being drawn between the automated and the autogenous, between those who are guided by external algorithms and those who are guided by internal discipline. The distance between these two groups will become an abyss, and there will be no bridge across it. Choose which side of the abyss you will stand on. Do not make the choice tomorrow. Make it now, in the silence of this very moment. We see the results of sloth everywhere. We see them in the collapse of deep reading, the death of sustained conversation, the anxiety of minds that cannot hold a single thought for more than 10 seconds without checking their pockets. We see a generation of technological sleepwalkers, guided by algorithms through a landscape of constant, low-grade amusement. They are not unhappy, they are just numb. The automated man is a reaction machine. He does not choose his thoughts, he merely reacts to the notifications that pop up on his screen. He does not choose his values, he adopts the consensus of his feed. He does not choose his actions, he follows the line of least resistance. He is a ghost in his own life, a passenger in a vehicle driven by anonymous programmers who design his reality to maximize their revenue. The autogenous man is a disciplined counterforce. He has reclaimed the sovereignty of his attention. He has built a wall around his mind that the noise of the world cannot penetrate. He chooses what he looks at, what he thinks about, and what he does. He is a builder of cathedrals, a writer of testaments, a creator of order in a world of digital chaos. He does not seek approval from the feed. He seeks alignment with the truth. This sorting is not temporary, it is permanent. The automated will be consumed by the machines they serve. They will become part of the infrastructure, passive users of platforms that own their attention and dictate their desires. Only the autogenous will remain free. Only they will have the strength to stand when the systems collapse. The Order demands that you choose the autogenous path. It is the hard path, the cold path, the path of constant resistance, but it is the only path that leads to the summit. The other path is a smooth slide into the dark. Begin by reintroducing friction. Choose the hard path simply because it has friction. Turn off the notifications that demand your immediate reaction. Let the phone sit in another room. Sit with the silence until the noise in your head begins to quiet down. At first, it will feel like a withdrawal. It will feel like boredom, and your mind will panic, searching for a screen, a sound, a distraction to fill the void. Stay there. Endure the gap. Discipline is not a natural state. It is a voluntary constraint. It is the decision to say, I am in charge of my focus, not the machine. It is the willingness to sit in an empty room with nothing but your own thoughts and the work in front of you. It is the daily practice of doing the tedious, unglamorous things with the same devotion you would bring to the monument. The temple of your mind is being occupied by squatters. They have set up their shops, their screens, and their flashing lights inside your sanctuary. You must whip the money changers out of the temple. You must clear the space. It will be empty, it will be cold, and it will look like raw concrete before you start to rebuild. But that emptiness is the only place where something real can stand. Reintroduce physical difficulty. Choose the cold floor over the carpet. Choose the book over the video. Choose the long walk without audio over the short drive with the podcast. These small acts of voluntary friction are the exercises that rebuild the muscle of the will. They are the small stones you place in the foundation of your character. When you refuse the easy path, you send a signal to your own mind. I am the master here. I am the one who decides when to rest and when to labor. The machine has no power over me. This realization is the beginning of true strength. It is the shield that protects you from the tyranny of the immediate. The cathedral walls are silent because silence is the raw material of thought. In the noise, you cannot hear the cracks forming in your own resolve. In the constant stimulation, you do not notice the slow death of your own will. The modern world wants you sedated because a sedated population is predictable. They do not resist, they do not build, they only consume, scroll, and sleep. Do not wait for motivation. Motivation is a chemical trick. It is the spark that vanishes when the weather gets cold. Rely only on consistency. Rote, mechanical consistency is the only hammer that can break the concrete of habit. You do not need to feel like running. You do not need to feel like writing. You do not need to feel like training. You only need to do it. The feeling is irrelevant. The task is absolute. Let the cold stone of your workspace remind you of the reality of the task. We do not work in padded rooms. We work in the brutal, raw truth of the present moment. Every time you sit down and force your attention to remain on one thing for an hour without looking away, you are laying a single concrete block in the wall that protects you from the noise. This is a quiet war. There are no trumpets, no banners, and no crowds cheering your victories. The battle takes place at 6 in the morning in the quiet of your room when the alarm goes off and the bed is warm. It takes place at 3 in the afternoon when your energy dips and the phone is sitting 3 inches from your hand. If you win those quiet moments, you win the war. If you lose them, no public victory will save you. The modern world tells you that you deserve comfort. It tells you that pain is a design flaw that should be patched out of the human experience. But pain is the diagnostic tool of the soul. It tells you where the weakness lies. It tells you where you are soft, where you are lazy, and where you have allowed the discipline to decay. Welcome the discomfort. It is the sign that you are still alive, that you are still resisting. Look at the giants of concrete and stone. They do not move, they do not rush. They stand in monumental silence, enduring the wind, the rain, and the passage of time. They have no dopamine, they have no feeds. They only have their own weight and their own structure. Learn from the concrete. Build a structure in your own character that can withstand the storm of digital noise without shifting an inch. We are entering the silence. Reclaim your attention. reclaim your focus. Reject the soft bed of the modern world. Rise from the cushions, step onto the cold stone floor, and begin the work. The Order is watching, not to judge, but to preserve. We preserve the memory of what a human being was before the machines began to think for us. We preserve the silence. We preserve the discipline. Join the transmission. Step out of the field.